So here it is, the ROG Xbox LIX and the Steam Deck OLED. You see, Valve's vision for the Steam Deck OLED was to make it better than the original back in 2023. And of course, the Steam Deck OLED is a spectacular one hell of a good boy, right from its specs to the major upgrade, the OLED screen. True to its name, the OLED screen was and still is absolutely the star of the show in this upgrade. This new OLED screen is not just good compared to the original Steam Deck, it's spectacular compared to any screen in this class. It has incredible color reproduction, supports true HDR with 1000 nits peak brightness in HDR content, and it's been upgraded to 90Hz, allowing games to run super smooth and input latency to be even better. Another cool thing about how the Steam OS works is that the HDR just works here in a way it simply doesn't work on Windows. Well, that's enough. I don't want to be sugar watering the Steam Deck OLED for now because Xbox just teamed up with ASUS to produce a beast that might dethrone Valve's Steam Deck. Could it be that Xbox couldn't win the console wars with Sony's PS5, so it had to come down to whoop Valve's? Well, maybe. Anyways, to be clear, these aren't proper handheld Xboxes that will play any Xbox game. Despite this is an Xbox branding, however, there are still capable handheld gaming machines that can play a huge number of PC games natively or stream Xbox games either from an Xbox console or Microsoft Cloud streaming service. If you put the old Li device side by side, the new Xbox Li models has been spruced up with new AMD Z2 processors and a streamlined Windows 11 OS that makes it feel more like an Xbox than just a normal Windows. And that translates into better performance and a step forward in its utilizations, and totally makes sense that these are the best Steam Deck competitors by far. It's really important to know the differences between the two Xbox Li models released. First up is the ROG Xbox Li. On the outside, it is originally white in color, and on the inside, it is running on AMD's Ryzen Z2A chip. And we have the Xbox Li X. The X here is the difference in the coordinate. Maybe X means extreme, I'm sure. But this, on the other hand, comes in black color and having on the inside a more powerful Ryzen Z2 chip. Here is a quick specs between the two. Underneath the shell is where the more significant difference lie. Both devices run on AMD Ryzen Z2 chips, but the LIX is significantly more powerful. It's powered by AMD's Ryzen AI Z2 Extreme processor, while the Li runs on the AMD Ryzen Z2A processor. The LIX also has more RAM with 24GB, while the Li has only 16GB. The LIX comes with a 1TB SSD, which is double the storage of that of the standard Li. And the LIX has an 80 watts per hour battery to run all that powerful hardware, while the standard Li has a 60 watt per hour battery. You see, the Xbox Li offers Steam Deck level performance from its AMD's Ryzen Z2 chip, plus a smooth and fluid higher-res screen, easier solid-state drive upgradability, and a wider game compatibility, thanks to running on Windows out of the box. The interesting thing is, Xbox LIX uses AMD's brand new Ryzen AI Z2 Extreme, which promises the best performance we've seen in a PC gaming handheld, some exclusive Xbox features, and more capable hardware, and that could make it the device of choice for gamers able to justify to its high price, something that we'll be talking about later in this video. So with that being said, we know the Steam Deck OLED has an incredible and vibrant color reproduction, supports a true HDR with 1000 nits max brightness in HDR content, and has been upgraded to 90Hz refresh rate from the original Steam Deck, allowing games to run better and super smooth, and of course, a better build quality than the original Steam Deck. Comparing the Steam Deck OLED to the Xbox Li's has its wins and losses at some categories. First off, I better start with their design and build quality. The first thing that you're gonna notice is the design of the Xbox Li. It just feels like you have an Xbox controller with ROG Li as the base machine running the games. I'm not gonna lie, the Xbox controllers, even right from the very first gen, has won the heart of many, and everything about it felt different, from the muscle grip to the alignment of the analog sticks. The Steam Deck OLED and the Xbox Li's both have an ABYX buttons on the right side, which is okay, since the Xbox games are matched with that kind of button mappings, and which again is originated from the Xbox. And just as we know from the original Li, the Xbox Li features RGB underneath each thumbsticks, which I think, again, it is a cool thing that they maintained it. But I've seen some DIYs of people making the RGBs on Steam Deck. And what I'm gonna say, again, it depends on the preference, but before we get to the triggers, there is something Steam Deck is leading in every gaming handheld I've seen so far, and that is the trackpads right below the thumbsticks. You see, these are highly customizable touch-sensitive parts that can function in many ways, such as a mouse, a D-pad, scroll wheel, or even for an advanced input like the radial menus, and that is literally a game changer, especially how it handles FPS games. First ever to do it like this and still the best at it. Big props to the Steam Deck for this. Still on the front side, both are having the dual front-facing speakers for a super immersive gameplay sound experience, but I gotta say, the sound from the Xbox Li is quite more punchier, and that's good, in case you decide to go off without headset. And now, let's talk about the triggers. Xbox leveled up the game by introducing the impulse triggers, just as the way it flows on the current Xbox consoles, with which it is a good thing that it brought that thing up, and also definitely going to make gaming experience better, at least compared to the Steam Deck. Alright, so let's talk about the screen and the display. The ROG Xbox Li comes with a 7-inch 1080p at 120Hz Full HD LCD display, whereas the Steam Deck OLED comes with a 7.4-inch 800p at 90Hz RGB OLED screen display, giving it a very deep black levels and a very high contrast ratio together with 1000 nit peak brightness. Talking about the OLED screen, for outdoor usage, reflections might be an issue. Honest glass or some layer of anti-glare glass coating helps, but it still does your job quite better than the Xbox Li LCD Gorilla screen, which only has 500 nits brightness and also lower contrasting colors. But seriously, for the smoothness in graphics motions, Li wins here with its 120Hz refresh rate and VRR, which helps reduce motion blur, tearing and generally making fast motions look better. You see, the Steam Deck OLED's 90Hz refresh rate is good, but less headroom for ultra smooth motion, even though you might not notice it that much, but when you look closely, you'll see the difference. So here's what I would recommend based on their graphics. If you care most about the contrast, deep color levels, HDR, rich colors, cinematic visuals, and you play in darker settings, gaming style favors immersion over frame rate chasing, and you are okay with a 800p resolution at 90Hz, then stick to the Steam Deck OLED. But if you want higher resolution and crispness, very smooth motion with 120Hz refresh rate and VRR, you value sharper visuals, especially when gaming at a native res or even connected to the external displays, and you can accept that blacks won't be as perfect and HDR will be limited, then the ROG Xbox Li is your go-to. Okay, now battery life. The Steam Deck OLED comes with 50 Wh/hour battery with a 3 to 12 hours of gameplay, whereas the Xbox Li comes with 60 Wh/hour battery with 2.5 to 8 hours of gameplay, and the Xbox Li X has a little bit much more higher with 80 Wh/hour, which gives 3 to 12 hours of gameplay. Of course, this depends on the kind of games and the amount of load on the device. The thing is, on an extremely demanding games like Doom or Cyberpunk 2077, all maxed settings and high brightness, the Steam Deck OLED went up to 2 to 2.5 hours, and the Xbox Li survived to 2 hours, and the X got to almost 3 hours, which is quite impressive. The thing is, on demanding games, both are fairly similar in that you are looking at roughly 2 hours or so of playing. The Xbox Li X has the edge in battery capacity, so for less intensive tasks with tuning, you may get somewhat more breathing room than with the Steam Deck OLED, if you are willing to reduce performance or visuals. Alright, so now the price. The Steam Deck OLED starts at $549 for the 512GB model, and it goes up to $649 for the 1TB version. And that is a solid deal for the OLED screen with HDR and great color quality. Meanwhile, the ROG Xbox Li start a bit higher at $599, offering a sharper 1080 120Hz display. But if you want the upgraded Li X with its bigger 80 Wh/hour battery, 24 gigs of RAM, and a 1TB SSD, you are looking at a premium price of a $999.99, which is $1,000. So in simple terms, the Steam Deck OLED gives you more value for money, the ROG Li sits slightly above it, and the Li X is almost double the price, aimed at a hardcore gamers who want top specs no matter the cost. Alright, so which one is worth your cash? The vibrant and affordable Steam Deck OLED or the powerhouse ROG Xbox Li X? Let me know what you would pick in the comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more breakdowns and comparisons like this. Bye for now.